part of teaching and learning is philosophy, and so I thought I would share some of the documents and books that have helped to shape my philosophy. So I have a big stack here. I'm just going to go through them one by one. The first one is a Tony Robbins book called Awaken, the Giant Within. This came out in the early 90s, and I kind of have followed it ever since. Although in 2003, I ordered the CDs, and those and other CDs I'll talk about in a few minutes have been extremely valuable. One of Jim Rohn's disciples was Tony Robbins. In other words, Tony Robbins learned from Jim Rohn. My copy of The Challenge to Succeed is in my car. It's very loved, it's very worn out, and his philosophies are things like, make sure you eat an apple a day. It's an easy thing to do, but it's also an easy thing not to do. And so this helps me help my students. This is a treasury of quotes from Jim Rohn. He has a couple books, but really the CDs are excellent. This is a book by Stephen Covey and two other authors called First Things First. This book is really interesting because it breaks tasks into 4 quadrants. Things that are urgent versus non-urgent, and things that are important versus non-important. He actually makes the quadrants, they make them all wrong according to math. But the thing that they say we don't work on enough is things that are important but not urgent. Stephen Covey also has a series of planners called Franklin Covey planners that I've used for probably 6 or 7 or 8 years. And the particular planner I use is still a paper planner in a binder that zips up, and it allows me to not just look at today, but allows me to look at week by week and write down tasks, and also a place to store ideas. This is called the John Maxwell Daily Reader. It could be, sometimes I call it the Leadership Bible. John Maxwell always has something brilliant to say, day after day. Today he talks about, this February 24th, as the leader, be unwilling to accept defeat and lead your team to success. Just every day, whether you're a teacher or a parent or a student, just gems every single day. The current editor of Success magazine, his name is Darren. This is a book he wrote in the past year or two. As free resources on his website, thecompoundeffect.com, one of the free resources is called the Weekly Rhythm Register. It's hard to find a place to write down to drink enough water, to exercise, to work on a project every day, whatever those things are you want to put on your list. So I have drink water, listen to Jim Rohn, make sure I stretch every day, whatever those things that are important to you. So this is in conjunction with a planner rather than instead of. So I carry this around in a folder with me in my pocketbook. Many of the ideas and philosophies I have were really formed in engineering school. And this book, Mindset, is written by a psychologist, and she talks about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. People with the growth mindset are people who are eager to learn and try new ways of doing things. People with the fixed mindset really just stick to what they already know. She did a study on chemistry students where the average grade was a C, and she found students with the growth mindset figured out, what could I do better after they got back their first grade? Do they need to study more? Do they need to get a tutor? Do they need to form a study group? The students with the fixed mindset said to themselves, I'm not very smart anyway. Sometimes they drop the class, sometimes they even change their major. So in engineering school, you had to have a growth mindset. The document inside here is from my undergraduate institution. It's from the Accredited Board of Engineering and Technology, and it lists the outcomes and objectives of an engineering education. I'll post this on my website on my newsletter, but it talks about these 16 different outcomes, and only about 5 of them are technical. Many of the other ones are things like an ability to work on teams and function independently, a recognition of the necessity of lifelong learning, ability to think critically. And so really, although an engineering education sounds very specific, it really is a very broad perspective. Another very well-loved book, that's the official SAT study guide. This book is the book I used in 2009 to study for the SAT. It's just like the SAT. It's a gift. If you do the problems in this book and you do the SAT question of the day, you will know what's on the test. The only remaining thing you need to do is time practice. So I chose this book because this represents the idea of moving your own needle and being able to grow and increase your score. Like I really boosted my verbal score. And last but certainly not least, Success Magazine, which is where a lot of those other writers have had articles and also audio, is a monthly compilation of ideas, both in writing, and it comes with a CD, which I already ripped out. And this is just a great dose of not just positive thinking, but just in terms of strategies, not just on running business, but also in terms of doing better in all categories of life. So I just wanted to share some of the documents, magazines, and books, and also audio that have been helpful to me in forming the philosophy that I share with students. If you have any questions, please send an email or go to my website, mathconfidence.com. Thank you very much.